Namaste, everyone. My name is Alana, and this is the first episode of Who Says? Connecting the dots between sexuality, Ayurveda, yoga, and spirituality. I've been wanting to do this for a little while now, and so here we are. Just to explain a little bit about what to expect for this vlog, because you can't touch on everything in one go. We'll start with sexuality. So how do you define that, right? Everybody knows what it is, but putting words to define every single aspect of what sexuality encompasses is kind of a hard thing. So it's your identity, it's your gender, it's the way that you express yourself and how you see yourself. So it's not just about sex, which can really be defined as any kind of sexual behavior. It's so much more than that, right? So it's about societal expectations, which is different depending on where you're from around the world. It's cultural, it's what you learned from your family and your smaller communities, about your relationships, the experiences that you've had in the past, and about your interpersonal relationship. So how you view yourself as opposed to maybe how others view you or how you want others to see you. So it's a lot of things, but it applies to everybody. Everybody has some kind of sexuality, whether it's on the spectrum of asexuality to hypersexuality and everything in between. And it's a really beautiful thing that I think it's really weird that people don't want to talk about, because it makes up who you are. So it's really tied to everything. It's expression, emotion, physical sensation, fantasy, eroticism, reproduction. It's all around us. Ayurveda it's the oldest medicine practice in the world. It's over 5,000 years old, from India, and it's not something that everybody knows about, which I think is really interesting, because you bring up Chinese medicine and people are like, yeah, I know that. They might not understand it or know the little facets, but they recognize it if you say Chinese medicine. And there's a lot of similarities between Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. It's basically a concept that is based on the fact that your body is made up of the elements of the earth. As human beings, our bodies are created, right? I mean, we have the babies and all of that stuff, but on earth, it's all connected there. So we'll touch on that as well. And that's also related to everything else, because depending on maybe what you might be having some imbalances, and you have a nature. And when we have imbalances, we have issues like anxiety, depression, maybe a physical ailment, dis-ease, breaking apart the word disease. So that's definitely a huge aspect. As people, we have to eat. So our nutrition is a huge part of that. And that can affect a lot of other things in our lives. Yoga it's everything. Whether you go to the mat for physical practice or not, yoga is everything that we do in life. It comes from the Sanskrit word yuj, which means unification. It has one definition, but it encompasses everything. It's based on the concept that everything's connected, and that's not a religious thing, it's just a fact, right? There's physics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, but transferred, right? So yoga's kind of based on physics in a really weird way. It's scientific. So the idea that believing and understanding that everything is connected, understanding that thought patterns, which is a neuroscience field thing, your thought patterns, they matter, and they create habits, and they create kind of holding places for ourselves. And yoga is about bringing awareness, having control over these patterns, controlling the mind, to be able to find a higher state of consciousness, which I think, whether we know it or not, we're always seeking. Happiness comes from within, and how do you find that kind of contentment to make that for yourself? Because relying on other things to give that to you is just, it's not great long term. You might be happy with this coffee that you've had for until it's gone, maybe 5-10 minutes, and then the problems are still there, the kleshas, the obstacles. Yoga is so much more than what the Western world perceives it as. It's everything, and so I really want to be able to share that with you. Moving on to spirituality, whether you're religious or not, spirituality is something that really does affect our sexuality directly, and it affects how we view the world and how we experience the world. And I think people oftentimes think, oh, spirituality is religious, it has to do with a God or higher power, but that's not it at all. It's so much more. Everything is so much more. It's just easier to say it that way. So we're connecting all of these things. This is just kind of like a little preview, I guess, of kind of understanding that each subject, while it might not touch on the whole, they're little pieces that are bigger parts of the puzzle that everybody can get something out of what I'm sharing with you. And so I hope that you enjoy it.